Greetings and welcome back to the channel. You never really know someone unless. Today I'm going to explain what I mean by this. We live in a world of holograms, of shadows, masks, fake personas. We live in a matrix of a world that is more upside down every day and in every way, every possible direction you look, it's messed up. To say the least, that's putting it mildly. I have pulled no punches in saying that I think that we live in the last days. And I'm not going to go into a long dialogue of why I think that right now, but just know that one of the primary reasons is the absolutely rampant rise in narcissism and all other types of toxic behavior. For the sake of this video, and in general, I don't really care if we're talking about people with borderline personality or narcissistic personality disorder or avoidance or anxiety, anxious attachment people or codependence or whatever it is we're talking about. Because at the end of the day, it all overlaps and it's in some way, shape, or form toxic and vile and it's wicked and it shows that the person has darkness within them in some capacity. And I'm not just talking about people who have been traumatized by things that have happened. I'm talking about people who plot, scheme, hatch evil plans, purposely and intentionally hurt other people. And there's a lot of that. There are more people out there doing that today by far than there aren't. In my experience in my life, what I've really come to understand is it's extremely difficult to really know who you're dealing with. In all my experiences with people at work settings, church settings, family, friends, relationships, people you just talk to, date, whatever, I've come to the conclusion that in this day and age, one of the most difficult things a person can really do is figure out who someone is. The narcissist should have shown us this, right? If nothing else, they showed us this. The narcissist showed us that good behavior does not always last, does it? I said that narcissists typically get about 3 months. If you're dealing with somebody and you think, oh, well, the bad part of them came out 2, 3, 4, 5 years down the road, you're not dealing with a narcissist. They can't do it. They can't keep it up that long. I've experienced that in my life. Someone who gradually, as time went on, decayed in personality, but was otherwise really great up front and even for a long time. It's not a narcissist that does that, friends. These people can only keep it up for about 3 to 6 months, and that 3-month mark is the magic number. 3 seems to be one of the magic, mysterious numbers of all things, doesn't it? It is for the narcissist too, 3 months. They showed us that good behavior does not always last, and in fact, it rarely does. They also showed us that a good appearance is just that. Oftentimes, an appearance, meaning the way things seem to be. Not the way you know them to be to a certainty, but the way they seem on the surface to be without further investigation. I also know this. This is one of the most important fundamental things I believe, guys, in my life, and I think for all of us to remember. Good is most, evil is most successful in its mission, in its task, if it dresses itself up as good. This is why Paul said Satan masquerades as an angel of light. This is why his servants masquerade as servants of righteousness. This is why oftentimes the worst people on earth are hidden in plain sight among us in community groups and churches and families. And sometimes the worst of the devils is the one that's right next to you. Because it's much more successful if you can appear to be good when you're evil. So this is exactly how the worst people in all of history, the most heinous murderers, People who committed genocide. It's how they were successful. People who drug others out into the wilderness to start up communities that were supposed to be for everybody's best interest ended up being nightmare camps. How do you think that they did it? They did it because they got people to believe in the appearance that they are good, that they mean well, because they can wear a mask and they can act fantastically well. They don't come saying, Hitler did not come saying to the German people, I'm going to create this party of others who wants to destroy all sorts of groups and demographics. I'm not going to go into details for the sake of YouTube. Stalin didn't come telling the Russian people his plans. Pol Pot and the Khmer Rouge, he didn't come telling people that you're going to commit genocide and worse. As if there is worse, but similar things. The devil doesn't come as your enemy, it's an old saying, but he comes as your friend. And that's what a lot of people today do. A lot of people. Drop comments below if you have been betrayed by people you truly believed had your best interest at heart. Friends, family, relationship, whatever it is. You would have bet your life that this person was for you. And they weren't, were they? They often turn out to be your biggest enemy, your biggest detractor, your biggest stumbling block. You never really know someone unless. So what, Brian, is that unless, you might be asking? There's two ways that you can actually cut through all of this and know somebody. And I mean really know somebody. And there's only really two ways. And they can work in unison. The first way you can truly know somebody is if you know them behind closed doors. This is how the narcissist succeeds. Most people, especially the communal narcissists, which all of them are a bit communal, are they not? All of them put on a show to the public. All of them can pretend to be there for others, pretend to show empathy. Can't tell you how many times I was privy to that, to see someone talking about something that mattered and seeing the narcissist, oh, that's terrible. Oh, that's terrible. Oh. Fake empathy. They're masters at doing it. They see other people have empathy in the way they act, and so they mimic it, but they don't have any themselves. They don't care about your son who might have passed away, or the disease that your wife or husband has. They don't really care. They pretend to care. That's the truth. The narcissist is an absolute master at convincing the world. My last video, go see that one. The narcissist lives to fool the world. And they do this by wearing a mask, and they do this by pretending that everything they do is good, that they mean well, they care about others, they can do good deeds. Narcissists can do a lot of good deeds. Jesus talks a little about that, Matthew chapter 7, that many will come to him and say, basically boasting of their deeds, we cast out demons, we perform miracles, we did all these things. And what does Jesus say? Depart from me, you workers of iniquity, I never knew you. It's going to be a lot of people that is said to. Because doing good deeds alone doesn't do anything. You have to have the right heart condition. You have to be in the Lord. You have to be forgiven. But also, the problem is those people doing good deeds, like the narcissist, who might be out there picking people up, giving them rides at times, might seem to be bending over backwards. What you don't see in the public, and this is the key of the video, what you don't see is that life behind doors that they live, where all the corruption, all the hideous, toxic, vitriolic, evil deeds that they're doing. And that's what Jesus said. You're doing all these good things? Well, depart from me, you workers of iniquity or lawlessness. In other words, you might have been doing all this good, but I saw all the great evil you were doing too. See, it doesn't work this way where you can be a good person in certain respects. Even if you say you profess faith, you can be good in certain respects and then be dreadful in other respects, and that's fine. It doesn't work that way. So yes, the narcissist is chief among those offenders who are out there doing this, that, and the other thing for people on a public level, convincing the world they're wonderful people. trying to gaslight themselves into that. And all the while, they're workers of iniquity. And God will say, I never knew you. One of the only ways you can actually get to actually truly know who somebody is the way they are behind closed doors. I've gotten to a point where I don't care what I see in public. Yes, we can't get to know everyone. You have to operate with certain base assumptions that the person's fine. I'm going to get to that. But that doesn't matter to me. Anybody can seem like a great person in public, even if you run into them every once in a while. This is why the narcissist can have friends for a lifetime. And not good friends, not friends they truly know, but friends who see them just often enough that the narcissist can keep up the mask. Just often enough. So one of the ways you can know somebody is if it's behind closed doors, because that is when you see the real them. That's when the real person comes out, the one that's no longer trying to present a facade to the world and fool the world, but the one that they really actually are. And that's what the narcissist does, isn't it? They act in public like they have their life together, their relationship material, they're getting along with the person they're with, they're great parents. And behind closed doors, which only a few people see, that's where they're evil. That's where they're dark, because all they've done is masquerade as an angel of light. They've masqueraded as a servant of righteousness. But again, they've masqueraded. It's to put on a mask. That's what it means. To masquerade means to put on a mask. To be something other than you are, to pretend to be something other than you are. So the only real way, one of the only real ways to know who someone is to see them behind closed doors. How does that person treat others when nobody else is looking? That's really the key. That's what I'm getting at. How do you behave when nobody else is looking? How does someone else behave when nobody else is looking? And I made a video about this. The narcissist lives 3 lives at least. They live the public life that everybody sees. They live the personal life that only those behind closed doors see. And then they live the secret life that really only they and God know about. So, if you have not seen, if you don't know someone behind closed doors, what they're like, apart from everyone else, apart from the world's eye looking at them, apart from them trying to put their best foot forward in front of people, then you don't really know them most of the time. But there's another way. Because let's face it, we can't all live behind closed doors with everybody. But you still have to trust certain people, right? You still have to make a judgment call on whether or not you think they're a good person to be in your life, mainly a friend, another family member. We don't get to see everyone behind closed doors, so how else can we tell? Well, there's really only one other way. You can know who someone is after being involved with them for a long time and in different situations. So you don't get to live behind closed doors with them and see them every day while they're not in public, but you can know someone for a long period of time and see them in a diverse amount of situations. And here's how this helps. You get to make certain judgment calls after a period of time. Because again, you're at work and you might have a work friend. You don't know who they are. But as you know that person for a long time, and potentially in different situations, you can see the truth come out. Because here is when you get to see, is that person consistent? The narcissist is the antithesis of inconsistent. I can't even say inconsistent because they're way worse than that. Their behavior is a roller coaster ride. It is all over the place. When you know someone for a long time, you get to see, how do they treat me whenever we do see each other? Do they get back to me in a timely manner, or do they leave me on red? Do they make insulting comments? Have I seen things crop up that just don't sit right with me? They just rub me the wrong way enough. Are they doing that? Or is there consistent behavior? I have friends that I have not interacted with in 15 years that I grew up with. But every time, or I go long periods, years and years sometimes, where I don't see them. But when we do, we pick up right where we left off. It's like no time had ever elapsed. We just fit and it clicks. Maybe you have a friend like that. I've got a couple cousins like that as well. We just pick right up where we left off. I could go 20 years and not see them, and it's like no time elapsed. It's bizarre. But you know who that person is because you both know who you are, because you've developed that over time prior to. You get to see, does the person have my back? If I get into a situation, will they actually help me? Will they show up? If I call, will they pick up? If I'm in a conundrum, my tire blew out at midnight on the way home from someplace at, some obscure day and time. If I call them, will they pick up? Will they come and help me? That's how you see. That's how you get to see who a person is. Do they have my back if I need them? If I need something, really, really need something, are they there? And they get to assess the same thing about you. Are you there for them when they need it? You also get to see this, and this is the most important thing. By knowing someone over the course of time and in diverse situations, you get to see, is this person the same in public as they are behind closed doors? Does the public persona align with the private persona? Do they match up? And I'm not saying that anyone is exactly the same in both cases, because when you're in public, you do have somewhat of a persona. Everyone does. And you get home and you might be like, oh, and you can just relax and be 100% yourself with those people. But overall, the two things ought to align. Who you are in public ought to be the same person you are in private, more or less. And if you know someone for a long time and in diverse situations, or you know somebody behind closed doors, you get to assess that also critical question. Does the public appearance match, align, mesh with the private person? And that's how you know. That's how you really get to see things, guys. Now, here's a critical thing before I close. I am not saying that we should just assume all people we're dealing with are bad. Don't go about your life living, and it's tempting to do this, as though just everyone you meet is fake and everyone you meet is putting on a facade, even though, frankly, most probably are at this point in history. But don't operate that way. I'm not saying be so cynical and so skeptical that you don't give anyone a chance. And you might think to yourself, well, I don't know that person. They seem nice, but they must be pretending. You don't know that. They might really be that. But what I am saying is, you do not assume that everyone you meet is good. Just because they go to your church and they sit next to you and they can make jokes and you can talk about work and you can talk about faith while you're sitting there in a pew, that does not mean that person is genuine. It doesn't mean they aren't. Because you have a work friend who you can pal around with, and everyone needs some work friends, it's fun, makes the day more enjoyable. Because you can laugh and joke and talk about work and talk about personal life, that doesn't mean this is a wonderful person that you really want to get close to. Doesn't mean they aren't. So what the lesson is, do not assume anyone is good. Do not assume that anyone has your best interest at heart, that you can just trust anybody because, well, they seem to be nice. Well, they seem to have my best interest at heart. Seems like a really good person. That's a good dude. Is it? And that's the balancing act for us. You cannot assume everyone's evil, but you can also definitely not assume they're all good just because you saw a few good things. In this day and age, more than any, like I said, the age of illusions and masks and holograms and false personas and narcissists out the yin yang, the two ways you can be sure that you can really trust someone, that you really know somebody, is either to know them behind closed doors, of which we can't know that many people. You can't share your most private life with that many people. Kids, parents growing up, and romantic partner, wife, husband. That's what I mean by that. Don't shack up. But since that's a small group, the way we have to test most people is how do they act over the course of time and in diverse situations? Are they consistent? Do they have my back? Is the public and private persona more or less the same? That's the way that we can do it. And guys, there's no more critical thing in relationships of any kind today than understanding this. You've got to be really careful about who you trust. I'll leave you with this. Jesus had 12 apostles. He called them all, each. Of that 12, only 3 were in the inner circle, the inner sanctum: Peter, John, and James. And there's a reason for that. Jesus gave us the pattern of how we should be, I believe, really believe in that. Your circle, especially in these last days, has got to be small. It's not great, big. It's not huge. The people who have all kind of friends they hang out with, that's very dangerous. And those kind of people are often fake. Just a weird thing. If you meet somebody and they have all kind of friends, or everybody's buddy, that's usually a red flag. That's usually a communal narcissist. In my opinion and estimation, the best people, the true ones, the real ones, the narrow path walkers, they often have a small circle, just like Jesus did. Because Jesus knew you can't trust that many people. You can't trust all 12 and tell all 12 everything. And we know he got completely stabbed in the back by Judas. But the other ones as well, even his inner circle sometimes gave him problems, right? He told Peter, "Get behind me, Satan," because Peter was trying to derail him from his mission to die on the cross for the sins of the world. He tried to get in the way of that. Even his inner circle. I have had people in my inner circle give me problems to some degree because we're all human. And I have probably done that too. But that's still that core group. You can trust them because you either knew them behind closed doors or you knew them over the course of time and in diverse situations, or preferably both. So keep your circle small. Be vigilant. Understand that not everybody who appears to be something is something. You don't really know someone unless you know them behind closed doors or over the course of time. So, guys, I hope this was helpful for you. I hope that we're all staying safe from these kind of individuals. Avoid such a person. Keep your mind on the Lord. Walk the narrow path. Be vigilant and have that core group that Jesus had. I believe that you will be far better off for it in the long run. So anyway, guys, hope you enjoyed this. Drop comments below if you did. I will come at you with another one soon. Until then, God bless.